Hey there, welcome to Technability. I'm Berge. We have the Apple iPhone 5S, and on the left side we have the Samsung Galaxy Note 3, and we're going to go ahead and do a long and detailed comprehensive comparison between the two. So bear with me, guys. I'm going to be basically going through as many features as possible. If I miss a few things in between, I apologize, but I do want to make this as detail oriented as I possibly can. That means going through every feature of each device, including software and hardware, and discussing those features and basically their benefits and why each phone is unique in its own right. So again, in terms of both devices, they're very different, but in many ways they're very similar. So we're going to go ahead and get started here with the iPhone. Now you can see right off the bat the iPhone is sporting its trademark Retina display, which has a 326 pixel per inch density. You have a A7 64-bit CPU, so it's basically a very new or updated CPU. You have a lightning port on the bottom along with the microphone and the speaker grill, the 3.5mm headphone jack, and you can see this is the space gray model, by the way. You have the volume rockers and the vibrate mode. You have the power button. On the back you have the 8 megapixel camera with the dual LED flash, Apple logo, iPhone logo. You have the top and the bottom, which are glass and also double up as antennas. SIM card tray right there. Of course you have the chamfered edges right here. Okay, so you have the chamfered edges. It's a nice, definitely a beautiful build. In terms of the iPhone, it's got an aluminum unibody build. It's solid, it feels good in the hand, definitely feels high quality, and in terms of just its specs, it is definitely a high-end device. Now, in terms of the Note 3, you have a quad-core 2.3 gigahertz Snapdragon 800 processor with 3 gigabytes of RAM, which is definitely noticeable upon utilizing the device in multitasking. You have the power button on the front, you got the back button and the menu button. Okay, on the front you also have the proximity sensor as well as the front-facing camera. On the bottom you have the charging port, which is the new charging port as well as doubles up as a micro USB port. You have the speaker, the microphone, volume rocker. You have the power button and the IR blaster, or excuse me, you have the IR blaster and the 3.5mm headphone jack. You have the power button right there. And on the back you have this whole fall leather stitched back. You can see the stitching on the sides. You have a 13 megapixel camera with flash, T-Mobile and Galaxy Note logo, and the S Pen down below. It's the latest and greatest in terms of Android. You're talking about a Snapdragon 800 processor, which is definitely the latest and greatest in relation to Android manufacturers and Android phones. Alright, so of course, each one is running its own software. On the Note 3, you have Android 4.3 with touchwiz. So you could see right there, it's Android 4.3 with touchwiz. And on the iPhone, you got iOS 7.0.2. They're both running on T-Mobile's network. They're both LTE compatible. Alright, so get that out of the way right there. And again, just in terms of its software, you can see both are smooth. Both have very fluid operation. If I go into the app drawer right here, I could just pan through. Of course, iOS doesn't have an app drawer. Alright, they basically just have the grid of icons. So again, just panning through the screens, you can see both are very smooth, very clean and responsive. You can pinch in here on the Android device. Over here you can't pinch in, but you got folders, which you could just take an icon and drag it into another icon to create a folder. So if I take Pandora and I move it into Wolfram Alpha, if I can just get that done there you go. Created a folder, I can name the folder. Now I can't take an icon, for example, and move it down here. It's just going to drag it right back to the arranged grid. So with Android, you can take an icon and you can just place it anywhere you like. You could take a widget, you can move the widget around, and it'll actually move the icons around for you. Now if I want to create a folder here with Android, I got to manually do it. So I can't take, or with touchwiz specifically, you can't manually take an icon and drag it into another icon, but what you could do is drag it into create folder and actually create a folder like that. Alright, so getting to the basics. Alright, so iOS is very minimal, right? I mean, they've taken that minimal approach to their OS, to this latest update. They basically took the whole skeuomorphic shadow gradient feel that they had with iOS 6 and they turned it into this. Now, a lot of people have differing opinions about iOS 7. Me personally, I like it. I think it looks a lot like iOS 6, except just a lot more minimal. The icons are new. Obviously, you have Spotlight right here now by swiping down on the home screen as opposed to on the far left of the display. So you can see I could just swipe down and get Spotlight. You have the notification center now, which you have 3 different tabs today, all in mist. You can add and remove certain widgets, which I call them here in the notification center, such as widgets, weather, etc. Alright, now you also have the control center down here, which doubles up as a toggle system, so to speak. So you have various different toggles like airplane mode, Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, auto rotation, brightness, music, calculator, etc. So you have the control center now, which is not customizable. So that's just a FYI right there. That's not customizable. Maybe with jailbreak in the near future, you'll be able to customize the control center. So those are two new features. Now with touchwiz, and here on Android 4.3, clearly you have the notification bar, which has the toggles up here. You can see it has multi-window, power saving, blocking mode, sound, Wi-Fi, plus the brightness level. Now here's the thing about both of these notification bars or notification centers. If I was to get a notification on iOS, you can't swipe it away. There's a little X you got to push. Whereas with Android, if you get a notification, you can just swipe it away. So I like that. I like the ability to just swipe away the notification. Now if you use two fingers, you also get the quick settings panel. Now this is customizable. If you go through the settings, you can actually customize these quick settings. You can remove them, you can add them, you can do as you so please. So there's a lot of features here: smart scroll, smart pause, smart stay, air gesture, air view. So a lot of useful features, and some features that people may not necessarily use, which is why Samsung has made it a point to be able to customize it and remove the ones that you don't use to add the ones that you do use. Alright, so let's get started right off the bat with lock screens on both. Okay, so now you can see, of course, you have the lock screen here on the Note 3. If I just hover my finger over it, you can see I can kind of play around with it here on the lock screen. Alright, on iOS, if you pan your finger to the left, nothing happens. If you pan your finger to the right, you get the passcode screen. Now you can finally, with iOS 7, bring down the notification center in the lock screen. You can also bring down bring up the control center. And of course you have the camera, which you can bring up. Now the great thing is if you access the camera from the lock screen and you try to go into photos, it won't let you. Now if you push the home button, it takes you right back to the lock screen. Now, the new method of unlocking through iOS's lock screen, fingerprint. Right there, easy. Now with Android, it's a little bit more of a different philosophy. Now you do have the widgets, so you can see right here, you have the widget right here, which is basically a shortcut to all your apps. You can access Action Memo from here. Alright, so you can access Action Memo through the lock screen. You can add widgets. Alright, you can also access the notification bar and the quick settings. Now if I was to take the S Pen, for example, I can utilize the S Pen on the lock screen as well. Alright, let's go into the settings of both. This is where it gets a little interesting, because with iOS you have their very simplistic, in many ways simplistic, settings menu. And I'm just going to go ahead and look at this right here, zoomed in. So you can see their settings menu right here. So if I was to go to Notification Center, you can see the various different notification options. You can add or remove certain things. You can add or remove photos, FaceTime, passbook, wallpapers, etc. You can even add Amber Alerts and emergency alerts. And now you have a gesture-based system. So I could just gesture back and go back to wherever it was that I want to go back to, or the previous page that I was at. Alright, now of course if you go to General, for example, and you go to Software Update, you're going to get updates if there are any. You also have options for Siri now, which has a male and female Siri, which is cool. Alright, you could do text size, accessibility, usage. You can put you can see the battery percentage indicator up there, which you could do. You got auto lock, and then of course you got the passcode and fingerprint, which you would set up the fingerprint, as many fingerprints as you want. I think it's up to there's a certain number of fingerprints that you could put, but you could do multi-fingers on your hand, obviously, if you don't want to just use your thumb or your index finger, for example. You have keyboard options. So there's quite a few options in terms of wallpapers as well. You can see the various different wallpaper options that they have now, but it's not all over the place because iOS hasn't always been, or has really never been, about a ton of features. I think it's been more about their functionality right off the bat. Whereas with the Note 3, you could see there's a multitude of different features here. Alright, so this is just off the Generals tab. You got date, time, accessory, application manager, battery. Alright, you got security, about device, etc. Now if you go to controls, this is where it gets really fun, right? Because you have motion controls, the air gesture, air view, air command. And again, this is accessible via the S Pen. So if I want to utilize the S Pen, I could do that. And here's the S Pen options right here. You can see it says turn on pen detection, S Pen keeper, pointer, pen detachment options. So you could change the sound of the pen detachment options. Go back, you got voice control, whether you want that on or off, one-handed operation. So if you go to device, now this is basically the device options, or the device settings. So you got lock screen options. You can, create a screen lock. You got multiple widgets on the lock screen. You got clock widget options as well. Owner information, the unlock effect, which was that whole water ripple effect that we just saw. You got action memo on lock screen, whether you want to enable that, as well as help text. Again, if you go back, you got easy mode, accessibility, notification panel, font. So you can even change the font. You can see default font. You could change the fonts by loading up a font list. Alright, you got I guess, what is that, Choco Cookie, Cool Jazz, Rosemary, and Samsung Sans. So let's go back here and go to connections. Now this is where you have all your connection options: NFC, S-Beam, nearby device, Samsung mirroring, which is sharing your device's screen with another device, data usage, location services, and of course more networks, and of course tethering as well. So quite a few options here in the settings. A lot of people are, kind of, basically it's a double-edged sword for a lot of average consumers who may not be too savvy with these settings, but upon purchasing the phone you really get accustomed to plenty of these settings, and really for the most part you'll realize that utilizing a lot of these features are actually very helpful. Like for example, like if I have the S Pen right here and I click, you can see I get my action memo, my pen window, S Finder, screen write, scrapbooker, and whatnot. So if I just do screen write, basically it takes a screenshot. Now I can edit the screenshot. Alright, I could edit it, I can save it, I could share it. So let's just push the check, I just saved the screenshot. And of course, one of my favorite features, pen window. So if I pull up pen window here and I draw a window of any size, alright, let's say I load up the internet. So I actually have the browser now, and I could browse here while it's loading up. I can expand it, I can minimize it. So you can see I'm browsing, I'm pinch zooming, I can move it around. Alright, so it's a pretty cool feature. Pretty cool feature. And I can even, so for example, if I X out, I can make it bigger. So let's say I want to reopen the pen window and I want to make it the size of the iPhone's display. Well, maybe not exactly the size of the iPhone's display, but I can do that as well, and I can open the dialer, the browser, etc. So cool little feature there. Again, it adds to the whole functionality and the whole usefulness of the S Pen. And again, I can minimize that and it's going to just show up right there. If I click on it, it'll reopen it. I can maximize it and it'll actually open that tab for me. Alright, now with the browser here, alright, so it's a lot more simplistic in terms of its approach. Safari, you can see the browser right here. Alright, so you have various different browser tabs which you can access by clicking on the tab button down below. You got private, which is incognito. You can add tabs if you don't want a tab by just swiping it away or swiping your finger to the left. You can get rid of it. You also have reader mode. Alright, so you can see reader mode right here. So reader mode's a really cool feature. The S Pen doesn't work here, just in case you guys are wondering. Alright, now you can just kind of hold on to, you could define text, you can copy text, you can cut text, whatever you'd like to do on that end. So the browser is definitely very easy and simplistic in terms of its utilization. There isn't much there, but that's what makes iOS experience basically so consumer friendly, and why so many consumers like it is because it's very easy to utilize. And again, swiping down, easy to do. Now you got to keep swiping, right? But that's there. And the screen, obviously the screen size difference, 4 inches versus 5.7 inch Super AMOLED 1080p. That's quite a difference because you have almost 380 pixels per inch here, but it's on a 5.7 inch display, whereas you have 4 inches here, so it's a comprehensive difference. Now if I was to go into the browser here, let's say for example we have this one Max appears in multiple images alongside Galaxy Note 3 article. If we click on reader, we also have reader mode right here, and you could pinch into this reader mode. You could share it, you can change the text size, etc. So I can make the text bigger, I can make the text smaller. There are the images that I have for the one Max. Alright, so you can click on the menu button, night mode. You can even save it as an image. So if you go back to the menu button here, you have various options such as the brightness, desktop view, sharing, adding as bookmark, etc. And here are the tabs actually for the browser. Now you can just rotate it like this. Well, if you have auto rotation on, which I don't think I do, so let me go ahead and enable that here. Okay, so screen rotate. Now you can rotate it, and you can actually view it like this. So you can just push the little minus and you can exit out. And let's go ahead and do some Siri versus Google Now tests. Tell me the weather.
Here's the forecast between
it's
today and
26
Thursday.
degrees and clear in Glendale.
Who is the 15th President of the United States?
According to
Okay,
Wikipedia,
give me a
James
moment.
Buchanan, Jr. was the 15th
The
President
answer
of
is
the
James
United
Buchanan.
States.
What is Brad Pitt's net worth?
I couldn't find the stock Brad Pitt's net.
Okay, so that's asking for stock. You know what, speaking of stock, what is Nokia's stock?
Kia Motors
Nokia
Corp closed
Corporation
at
ADR
$55.07.
What is Nokia's stock?
Kia Motors
Nokia
Corp closed
Corporation
at
ADR closed up
$55.75 September
0.3%
6,
yesterday at
2013.
$6.73.
What is Apple's stock?
Apple was
Apple
down
closed down
0.08%
yesterday at
trading at $483.03.
Open settings. Alright, so it's going to open the settings for me. Both. Decrease brightness.
Okay, I made the screen darker.
Alright, see, Google Now can't do that, but... How many nickels are in $5?
Checking my sources. $5 converts to 100 US nickels.
Alright. Set reminder tomorrow 3 p.m. Need to upload review.
Here's your reminder for tomorrow at 3
So
p.m.
this one needs to turn Google
Shall
on,
I create it?
Google Now on, so which I haven't done. Cancel reminder.
Okay.
Alright, so let's try a mathematics equation here. What is 3 plus 3 minus 9 minus 6 minus 16 times 3 to the third power?
Okay.
The answer
Give me
is
a moment.
minus 441.
Thank you. Google Now. Siri's still trying to calculate it. Wow, both different answers. I guess they both got the calculation
The
different.
answer is minus 57.
Clearly, right? Alright, let's see. Show me a picture of Spain's Prime Minister.
My web search
Here are
turned
some
this
matching
up.
There
pictures.
you go. What do you think of Google Now?
If it's all the same to you, I'd rather Google later.
Well, thank you for that. Alright, there you go. Siri and Google Now. I know you can see both of their respective keyboards. Of course, the iPhone 5S and iOS 7 prides itself on being a simple keyboard. Basically, very easy to type on with responsive keys. You have voice to text as well, which we'll get into in a minute. But you can see right here, it's very easy to type on. If I was actually looking at it, but yeah. It's very easy to type on, it's responsive, it's immediate to your touch, and we do like that about iOS's keyboard. Now you do have the ability to check timestamp by just gesturing over like this if you have bubbles on a text, and you could gesture back to go back to a text message and whatnot. And again, that's transparent right there, and you could access the control center as well as the notification center while you're in there. Now Samsung, obviously it's a very, very big keyboard. You can see it's huge. So it's quite easy to type on this, and you also have the ability to utilize swipe, so we could say thank, and you can just do this to get the right word. Thank you for watching this comparison. Close. Campaign. Let's try that again. Comparison. There you go. Okay. And of course you also have voice, which we'll do both. Hey, how are you today? What's going on? Do you feel like doing anything? The weather is beautiful. I hear it's really nice out today. Malibu, there's a lot of nice things going on. The beach looks really good today. We can head to Zuma maybe. It depends on whatever you want to do. Period. Hey, comma, do you want to do something? Question mark. I feel like doing something fun. But I'm doing this comparison, so really I can't right now. I have to upload it. Period. Now if I click done here, this will keep typing as I'm talking. But this will basically write it out for me. You can see with the question marks and all that. Now if there was a, let's say a date today or whatever, it would underline it and assist me in adding that to my calendar or doing something like that, and basically adding a event or reminder if there's a specific date or something like today or tomorrow written in the text. Alright, so you can see how that works right there. And you can of course add images. You can add images by existing or taking a photo. Over here you can add attachments as well, which syncs with third-party apps. Okay, so let me show you guys something else that I really like here. So if you take the S Pen for example, right, let's go ahead and clear all this. And you can see you can select all, paste, etc. So let's just do it manually like this. All right, use the S Pen here. Alright, so if I take the S Pen and I just type right there, you have this window now where you can actually type, and this has been available for the Note, but let's say I type hey, type it out for me. Done. It's going to type hey. Now you can also draw and send something as an MMS. So if I go here, drawing mode, okay, I can draw a picture, and I can send this as a MMS. See that right there? So I like that. That's a cool feature, and I like this keyboard in general. I like both keyboards really. They're both really good, really comprehensive, and very detailed keyboards, very responsive. I like the sound on both, so I'm definitely a big fan of these keyboards. Alright, you can see we can go home. And the iPhone has a little bit better in terms of animations, because that's what they're really driven upon, is the animations. It's an animation-driven OS, but still it doesn't mean that the Note 3 is a slouch. Alright, let's go ahead and open the photo gallery on both. Okay, now again, with the S Pen here on the Note 3, you could just hover over a picture to see a preview. You can hover over an image as such. You can actually just tap the button here. Alright, you could photo frame it, copy it, edit it, and share it. So let's say I'm on this photo right here. Okay, you have the option to edit the photo. You have editing options. You can trash it. You could share it. And you can see I can use the S Pen here to. You don't even have to actually touch the screen. You can see that I'm hovering over it, but it's just easier to kind of swipe, really. Or you could swipe with the S Pen, of course. So let's say I want to share it. Click here. Click down here. I can edit it. I could favorite it. Add it to a photo frame. Photo note. You see what photo note is. Alright, so Galaxy Digital Photo, so I can type in pic, okay, and it's going to actually have a little photo note there for me, which is a cool little feature. So let's X out of that. Copy to clipboard, buddy, photo share, rotate left, rotate right, etc. And you can see the editing options here as opposed to the editing options here. Okay, so this is the editing, this is the editing. And they're very similar. You know, you got the auto enhance, crop, color, effect. You can see the filters here. Both have filters, so you can utilize the filters. So both have good editing options. I'm not going to get too deep into that, but they're both pretty good in terms of just editing a photo to post on your Instagram, Facebook, or Twitter, whatever it is that you want to post a photo on. Alright, let's go ahead and run a few speed tests real quick before we get into the camera and a few other features. So again, right off the bat, people are asking me, the S Pen, is the S Pen utilized for air view, air gesture, etc.? Yes, it is. Of course, you also have the smart scroll, smart pause, smart stay features as well. So that would be utilizing scrolling with your eyes, and you can see that in the individual review I did of the Note 3. But yes, the S Pen does hover over the display. So I'm hovering over it right now. I could do S Finder, and we'll get into that in a minute. But first, let's do a few speed tests here. Alright, let's go ahead and multitask. Oh, double tapping opens S Voice. Oh, of course, you also have the My Magazine feature here, which is basically like their own version of HTC One's Blink feed. So hold down, you can see the multitasking. Swipe it away. You could swipe up to 3 away here. Manually, you can't swipe them all away. There's no button to X them all out at once. Alright, but over here, you can either do it one by one, or you could just push this little X and get out of there. See the same web page on both. And I can just scroll all the way to the bottom. If I want this, you kind of have to keep scrolling, but it has that nice little inertia effect, which is, you know, trademark Apple. Over here you got both pinch zooms, pan around the screen while I'm pinching, exit out. Alright, let's go ahead and open both speed tests. Okay, so there's speed tests, exit out. Let's go ahead and open the dialer, which I'm going to just cover just in case here. And alright, there we go. You see both dialers, exit out. Color schemes are similar, aren't they? It's an interesting little dichotomy there. Alright, let's go ahead and open Hangouts on both. You see Hangouts on both, exit out. Let's go ahead and check out the calendar here. Calendar. Alright, so there's the calendar on both. You can set reminders, add event. You can set reminders here, add event. Of course, you can also utilize the S Pen to do that. So yes, you could utilize the S Pen. The S Pen is basically utilized for everything on this phone. Alright, let's go ahead and try to open a third-party game here, and we'll look at that before we get into Google Now and Siri. So let's do Temple Run Oz. So both open at the same time. Oh, well, it asked me about badges, so that's kind of a buzzkill. Alright, well, this asked me too. I'll ask me again. I'm not going to be able to play this per se, but hey, either volumes. That looks a little smoother on the Note, because it kind of is, but I think it's just not necessarily optimized for the iOS or the iPhone 5s's hardware per se, which is a 64-bit. But again, you can access the notification bar, you can access Notification Center. the control center. This will pause it for you, that being the iPhone. See how far I can get here playing both. Alright, let's exit out. Let's look at Bejeweled Blitz. Let's open both of those. So here's Bejeweled Blitz, one of my favorite games. Play. Not easy to do here. Alright, so let's turn the volume down on the Galaxy Note here. Let's turn it up here on the iPhone. Get an idea. Let's go ahead and I'll do this the other way around. I'm up. Okay, exit out. Fairly simple, right? Oh, reopened it. Alright, let's check out Pandora on both and hear the quality of music. Actually, you know what? We can do that through. Let's do that through YouTube, because let's look at video quality while we're at it as well. Okay, hey guys, I'm Bears. This is Technability. We have a very unconventional comparison here today. Actually, it's not really much of a comparison. It's actually just a light brown, red, light blue, and I believe yellow. They didn't have white, of course, because white leather will get really dirty. I wasn't going to buy light blue, so I went ahead and got the black one. So it's going to be. Okay, and with all things YouTube here, we do today. White one, but see the black. You can just bring it down. Keep searching. Black one here from the sides. You can see the volume buttons and the good quality, good viewing angles. Button up top. Obviously, you have the speaker grip. Okay, here. Look at the screen difference, right? In terms of size. It was sporting 4G on Verizon's network. It was a fairly high-end phone. Okay, fast forward. Really, they were brilliant. They were brilliant commercials for a popular phone that really the masses. Giving credit to HC1 here. Take a look at how far they've come between 2010 and 2013. And now, while I'm in here, when they released the 1X and they released the Evo LTE and the 1S, it was a heck of a line of phones. I mean, it didn't sell well because it was overshadowed by the S3, but no web page, etc. You can also have multi-window. This year, HTC hit a home run. So you want to see what multi-window looks like? So while I'm in YouTube and while I have action window, click right there. Take, let's say, the gallery, drag it here. And I got the gallery, I got my action memo, and I got YouTube down there. And that's the 3 gigs of RAM working its magic, so I can X out of there. See how multi-window works? Alright, so I can exit out of here. Close out a multi-window. Another cool thing is you could disable bloatware. So if you go to uninstall, disable apps, you want to disable anything, you could. Now I don't know if it necessarily uninstalls it or just disables it. I'm assuming disables it, but yeah, you could disable apps and you can customize the app drawer as well. You can even add widgets, or you can pinch into the app drawer and pinch into the widgets as well. So if you go to widgets here, let's say I want to add an action memo to my display. It may not fit, well, it fits right there, but you can see the action memo. Click right there. It takes you to all your action memos. And again, I can click here and I can open Scrapbooker, for example, which is another cool app. Okay, so that just drew a line, and that's basically adding to my Scrapbooker. There you go. And you can edit this, you could tag it, etc. So, cool feature there. Alright, so getting back to the comparison here at hand. Alright, so you saw video quality, you saw sound quality. Let's go ahead and look at the camera. Right, so now you could see the picture quality, and I gotta say, the picture quality on the iPhone is absolutely fantastic. There's absolutely no complaints from me in terms of the picture quality. If I was to just go ahead and rotate it around here, it might be a little bit easier if I can get my hand out of the way. There we go. Alright, you can see it's very easy to take a picture. Click the shutter, or you could just hold it and do their insanely fast burst shot. You also have video, of course, which if you're recording a video, you can take a picture. You could zoom in and zoom out. Alright, let's go ahead and stop that. You also have slow motion, which is one of my favorite features because it's at 120 frames per second. Same thing, you can take a picture while you're doing it, pinch in, pinch out. Alright, so let's go ahead and stop that. Let's play it. Features because it's at 120 frames per second. Slow motion. I'll show you guys some sample photos that I was able to take with both cameras because again, they're both very good cameras. They're both very, very good cameras. And again, recording video here. And of course you also have square, panorama, and you have filters. So you can actually see the filters while you're taking a photo. You can do that with the front-facing camera as well, which if you just turn around, you got the front-facing camera. Alright, turn it back. Then go back to burst shot. You got HDR mode, flash, etc. You can see the Note 3's quality here. Again, you also do have burst shot. You can just hold down the shutter. You got to have it enabled, but there's burst shot here available. You can see the various different options: auto, beauty face, best face, sound shot, animated photo, sports, etc. So you got various different options there. Also go to the settings. Okay, you can see the various different settings here. Burst shot's off, so let's turn burst shot on. You got face detection, smart stabilization. So here's burst shot right here. Takes up to 20 photos. You can see burst shot right here. Okay, there's burst shot. And you also have the feature to be able to just turn it around. Let's say you smile. Smile. Okay, cool feature. You have video options, obviously. You can record video, which is really good quality. This is 4K per se, so this video right here that I'm recording right now is 4K quality. You could pause it. So now we're back. Play. You can take. So you can't take pictures in 4K, but let's go ahead and stop that. Alright, so here's the 4K video I just recorded. Record video, which is really good quality. This is 4K per se, so this video right here that I'm recording right now is 4K quality. So now we're back. Play. So you can't take pictures in 4K, but okay, so there's a 4K video and there's the picture quality. I know it's kind of a tough picture to judge, but let me go ahead and show you guys another really good picture that I took that I think is a good representation of this camera here. So here's a photo I took with a 13 megapixel camera. Good quality, actually great quality, no doubt about it. It's got great quality. You can see the detail, or the emphasis in detail right there. Pinch out. Here with the iPhone. You can pinch into a picture and play around with it. You could set various different albums and whatnot. No, it's just a chair, really, dirty chair. But again, the quality on the iPhone is fantastic. It's a really good camera. Really good camera. I mean, no doubt about it. I'm a big fan of this camera. And you can edit the pictures here, or you can share the pictures. You can share multiple pictures at once to your Facebook, Dropbox, Twitter, etc. You can see down there you can AirPlay it, add to contact, use as wallpaper. There's various different options there. Third-party apps don't sync with that, but here you got the same options. You can share from right there, and it'll actually share that for you. And again, you can utilize the S Pen. So the S Pen is still functional. And while you're in there, you can just kind of click. Go through your various different options right there. Alright, so we can go ahead and look at the maps real quick. Of course, look at the size difference of the screen. So you got more real estate here on the Note 3 clearly, right? I mean, but just in general, it's really, both are really nice displays. Both are really clean and crisp and fast. Both are fast phones. No doubt about it, they're both super speedy. So I haven't had any issues with speed in terms of panning through displays, opening and closing apps. They're both very fast. I mean, you could just, here, I'll show you guys for yourselves. So if we were to just, again, open YouTube, close out of YouTube, both very fast. Browser, even let's just do Chrome on both. So let's do Chrome, open them, close them, super fast. So I'm a fan of both of these devices. Now, it depends on what you're looking for, what you want. Do you want the bigger form factor? Do you want the smaller, more pocketable form factor? Do you want more real estate on a display? Do you want the S Pen? So the S Pen comes into play as well. Are you already ingrained into one or the other ecosystem? Have you purchased Android apps, iOS apps already for your previous phone? You know, it's a good time, if any, to try something different. You know, if you have an iPhone 5 and you want to upgrade, maybe the Note 3 might be a nice option for you to try something different. And if you have a Note 2, for example, maybe the iPhone 5S might be the best option for you. I know it's a lot smaller, and that's a tough thing with owners of the Note, to go to a smaller device. But trying something different may be good, at least this time around, because either or of these devices can be traded for the other device. So if you have a Note 3, you're going to be able to get a 5S. If you have a 5S, you can get a Note 3. So if you're not happy, you can always switch back to another device. But in terms of just both devices being functional, day-to-day, superb handsets, yes, that's exactly what they are. They're superb handsets. I'm a fan of both of these phones. Just in general, they both have a good feel about them. They both function amazing in terms of their performance and day-to-day operations and third-party apps. They both have their pluses. I don't really see many minuses unless you're big on size, which again, the Note 3 is not the smallest phone, but it's definitely one of the best displays I've ever seen with the 5.7 1080p Super AMOLED. But that doesn't mean the iPhone's a slouch by any means. So again, if you're looking for a handset right now and you're in the market and these two phones are in your peripheral, you really can't go wrong with either of them. So that's my comparison here, a very long comparison. I believe this almost went into 35-36 minutes. But again, I want it to be comprehensive and detailed. That's what we do here at Technability. We don't give you information that's not going to help you in your purchase. That's what we want to do. We want to give you information so that those who are looking for the next smartphone, who have these two smartphones, for example, in mind, can get a better idea of what they're about to purchase. So again, my name is Berge. You've watched Technability. This is the iPhone 5S versus the Note 3. I will post a separate video showcasing both 1080p videos next to each other so you can get a better idea of what the quality is like. Otherwise, don't forget to check out www.technability.com and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Alright, thank you guys for watching. I'm Berge. Have a good one.